Hi friends, this is Gail O'Neill and I teach stamping. So, yesterday I received all my new colors of blends. Today I didn't finish, but I started labeling them because there's so many that kind of look the same, and for me it's hard to see these little words. So I am printing out labels and they'll all have light and dark so I can see it easier. But look at some of these colors. The light poppy parade, the dark poppy parade. This is the, of course I didn't label it, and I can't see it. Dark and light petal pink, and you'll see me tonight. I actually use this one for the flesh color. Came out good. All these new colors. So they are $9. They come in a set, or you can buy them separately for $4.50. The new colors are awesome. Let me just pull this one out too. This is the Highland Heather. So pretty. So let me show you a couple things I was playing with. So this is the Poppy Parade here, and this is the Highland Heather. And let's see. Oh, so I was working on this one before. I did goof off a little today, or I would have finished things and made them into cards. Hi, Joe. Like, I'm not going to be like talking too much to you to look who's here, but I'll just do this little bud, and I color them in, you know, with the light, and then go back and add some dark. And a lot of the stamp sets are pre-shaded, but what I also did was pulled from the old color, and this is the Cherry Cobbler. So it's really good to be able to mix some other colors to get some even better shading. And then go back again with the light. And you can see, let me get it, and it'll dry a little bit lighter than that. Let me cover this. But can you see the shading? So I went like a little bit higher than their natural shading, and I did the same thing down in here. So I will finish this up and make a card as well as these, but I also have to show you, if you saw on my website, I had put up Button Bear, and I had used the blends on him. We only have Crumb Cake, and then what do they call this one? Bronze. So that's what I used, and I think I threw in some ivory to it to just lighten it in spots. But the new, two of the new colors, light and dark soft suede. So look at the difference here. So much nicer. So when I was doing this one, I also added the light Crumb Cake. So I'll show you a little of that, but you can see how much deeper I can get it now, you know, with them adding the new colors. So, wait, I need the dark one. Oh, and also I noticed that they did something better with the lids. They're, well, make a liar out of myself, but they all seem to be much easier to get on and off than some of the others. If you remember last week when I pulled it apart and it really came apart. So with this one, I kind of went, now I want the shadow of that bow, and I kind of went around him. You know, it's going to be darker there, and just like kind of wiggly lines. I'm not really making a straight line. Under there, I'm going to want it a little darker. And then I took some of the Crumb Cake. No, I want the other one. And put that in as well. And then took the light And then I'll show you how I pulled the color. So you want to like pull that color out so you're not leaving a line. But then you can go back, because as it dries, you can build your color. So I'm going to put a little bit more dark there, bring up some dark here and around that button. And then take the light one and pull that color again. You can always add more. The one nice thing about the blends, though, is that you can take away too. Using a lighter color, if I want that bullet point, if I use a very light color, that kind of lifts it like the color lifter. So I can put a little bit of shading in there. That's what I did throughout the belly to make it a little bit lighter. So you can see right there in the hand now, as it's drying, I'm getting a shadow there, and I did it there. But the color is so much richer, and don't be afraid to like experiment. You can always just toss it with mixing your colors. So that's some of the things I was playing with. So this is the card. Actually, let me just grab it. This is the card I was doing when I was in Florida, and then nothing would work. And I think it was the Wi-Fi that was turned out to be bad. So the video really never finished, and I deleted it. So this is the card that I did today using, you know, a different background. And I'm going to reproduce that now for you. So we're going to take Magical Mermaid, and it's Magical Mermaid, and where'd it go? Sea of Textures. So Magical Mermaid does not have framelits with it, but this set does. So the octopus cuts out, and this stamp, there's a background. This is a stamp that's just like for background. But I did cut this out with the framelit. And I think they're over by my machine. I didn't bring them back over here. Or did I? I guess I didn't. So we're going to stamp the mermaid with Memento. Memento. And I do like to do bigger stamps upside down, so you can see if you got a good image or not. So she's stamped. I'll let her dry a little bit. Now the alcohol will not move the black. If you went to watercolor, heavy duty watercolor, this would smudge. I do use glycerin lightly, and it's not so bad. So what I did with this one is I started down here on her tail, or her body, and colored her with the light Granny Apple. Yep, light Granny Apple. Okay, then I took some of the dark Granny Apple and just kind of went around and threw some in there, and then down at the bottom here. Then I grabbed light Bermuda Bay, and this is the one that came apart. I did buy a different one, and I think I'm going to have to open it. We'll see if this one's better, since I broke that one. Yes. Okay. And up in here, I put some to add just a little bit darker shade. Then went back again with the light. And blended that all in. Okay, then I took, and this is Pineapple Punch, the dark, and I brought that into the center, and that kind of made it like highlight and brighter. Okay, and then basically the same thing with the tail, the dark, and I went on the lines here around the bottom, and I added a little bit of this to give it a little bit more shading, but I wanted to keep the tail a little bit lighter. And then went over the whole thing. Now what happens with the blends, you end up using much more of your light colors than you do your dark. So at some point you do have to replace the light one. The dark ones will last much, much longer. And I'm not worrying if I go out of the line because she's going to be cut out. And then I added a little bit more of the yellow, the pineapple, to give that a little brighter look as well. We can even like glitter her a little bit. Okay, then for her hair, I took Daffodil Delight, and this is the dark, and I want the bullet. I use the bullet more than I do the other, and I just kind of flicked the color in, and then took, what is this one, the light daffodil, and then the pineapple. I kind of went over basically everything, and that like lightened and brightened, and she just came from the hairdresser. And then her little headband. And I'm going to throw, just lighten it a little bit so it's not as blue. Put a little bit of green in there. Okay, and then her body. So I used the light petal pink and did her body. And you could just leave it like that if you wanted. But I did take the ivory and just put a little bit in there and a little bit down her arm. And then blended that. So there she is, ready to get cut out. And of course, I pre-did one. So she's cut out, ready to go. I'm going to throw a few dimensionals on her and get her ready. And then I want just a little bit for the tail. And I'm going to just cut off the tips there. And put that there. And the tail itself is going to end up being glued down. So she's ready to go. So this is from the Sea of Textures, I think it's called. Tranquil Textures. So what I did here is I took this stamp, and this is from the Mermaid, and on this one I used gray, and you can barely see it. It's still good, but I decided to use the Tranquil Tide, and this is one of the in colors. And you're not going to see a lot of it, but it does give you a little bit of a background, a little bit extra. Okay, so that's done. I don't know where I put my cleaner, so we'll get them later. So then what I did is took this piece, and I think I have it that way, and added just a few spots. The other things that are going on it are going to hold it down, so I wasn't too concerned. Let's move that out of the way. So just a few dots in a few places. And there's a piece. Okay. So I'm going to put that down here. Okay, then the important part is the octopus. So what oh, look what I got. It was stuck to the bottom because of the magnets. Okay, so here's all the pieces that come with it. This is the one that cuts out the octopus. Right, Kat? You lose a lot of things that get stuck to the bottom of that. Okay. So what I did, and what I like to do, when I make a template, that's just an extra piece. I like to do a folding piece because it's easier to get that piece out. It also raises this so that when you're setting that in, and I'll do it again, but this is how I set it up. So now you have more of a space to fit that in and know exactly where it's going to go. Okay, and then, well, where'd they go? See, I'm always shoving things around. So I cut out two of them, and I prefer doing it this way than to then go and try and fit the die around what you're cutting out, because a lot of times it moves. So for this I used the gray granite. Originally I used smoky slate, but I wanted it a little bit darker, but not as dark as the basic gray. So I inked it totally up. And then, here it is. Then I took rich raspberry and a dauber. And just dab some color. Dab. And then I can go ahead and stamp it. So if you were doing a bunch of these, you would have to, I'm just going to put that right there. It didn't come out. So that's what's great about the Stamparatus. Now it's much better. So then I can just lift that out easier because I folded that in half. And I think that was my own invention. I'm not even going to clean that yet. I'll do it later. Okay, so I have this. Let's close that because that'll get all over me. I should have done the second one and I'd have it ready. Okay, so I just glued him down. And then I pre-did these, what I use, Granny Apple Green, and I think that's the Tranquil Tide. So I put a little bit of glue here. Let's hope I'm like in the middle here. And then stuck these together and just moved it over slightly. So now you have the two colors next to each other like that. And we'll do this one. I'm full of ink. Okay, and then I put one down. And then I wanted to see where Miss Mermaid was going to go. And I kind of want her underneath a little bit. Okay, so she's going to go there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on her tail. Whoa. She's supposed to only swim and not fly. And let's do this. So we'll just lift that up a little bit. Glue her down there. And if you want, so since I lost internet during my live, I wanted to come back on and show you how I did this tag to add to the card. So what I did, this is 1 1/4 inch this way, and you just need enough to be able to go past your punch so that you're able to hold it. So I took Tranquil Tide, and stamped it in the middle. Then you take the piece and put it in here in the punch so that you have that little space on both sides. And you could leave it like that if you so choose. But I decided to cut those little bumps off. And then I just attached it to the card. So it's kind of like we had, I don't think it was a ticket punch, I think it was framelits that we had the tickets in different sizes. So that's how I did it. These were the two cards, and that's it. Thanks for joining me. Bye.